This is my last video about Gina Carano, but I do think that this was a significant push in the culture between, I'm not even going to say the left and the right, but between authoritarians that want every single person on planet Earth to think the same and normal people. And for once, there was a pushback, and I'm glad that it happened. So if you are unaware of what happened, Gina Carano posted this on her social media, saying that Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? So notice that she doesn't talk about Republicans or Democrats. She doesn't talk about modern day United States or anything like that. She's just pointing out that in order to reach the point where soldiers round up a group of people, first the government dehumanized that group. And that's the important part. It's like once you dehumanize a group of people, then any action can be done against them because they're not human. They've been dehumanized. So this is more like a warning. But you have the unhinged people on Twitter that love ruining other people's lives. And I guess they felt that this strikes a little bit too close to home. I guess this was like a mirror for them and notice that, oh, we dehumanize our opponents all the time. Does that mean that we're like Nazis? Because I think deep inside they kind of got the comparison because they know that what they're doing is wrong at an unconscious level. So probably this is what got them angry. And then they got a company that's like Disney, which is a feminist company who talks about having women in positions of power and represented in movies and allowing women to speak out, to fire Gina because she spoke out. So the hypocrisy was on full display. It usually is on full display nowadays, but I guess like this is a high-profile case and more people than usually got to see this high levels of hypocrisy. Now, I think the reason most people sided with Gina isn't because of her as a person. If she would have gotten fired 2 years ago, she would probably not have received the same support that she's receiving today. The main reason that I think is that people are so fed up with this culture. This culture which empowers a group of deranged individuals on Twitter who hide behind numbers and anonymity and are like rabid dogs foaming at the mouth, going after and hounding people, trying to destroy lives. They have been hounding this lady for the last 6 months. You probably don't know about it because the press doesn't talk about it. And now that they have finally managed to deplatform her, they're going to go after someone else. They're going to pick another target and repeat because this is how they get their dopamine. And they're not improving the world. No one is benefiting from the fact that this person has got fired from her job. No one is benefiting because if you liked seeing her in The Mandalorian, you're not going to see her again. Not because you choose to change the channel and see some other TV show, but because other people made that choice for you. And I think like this is why a lot of people are fed up. They are fed up with this culture which allows for unaccountable small group of people to ruin other people's lives. And it's not against the terms of service, funnily enough. And secondly, it's also the fact that corporations now literally own people. That's the main problem that I have to take from this. When you go to work at a corporation like Disney, you don't just sign away your labor for the number of hours that you're on set and you're filming. No, even when you get home and you put some opinions on the internet, even then, you're still owned by the corporation. And in a society where it's easier to get a gun than a job, yeah, I can see why that's a problem. And you have, like, again, the cringe fringe of people on Twitter that are taking advantage of this situation. And someone needs to say enough. And this is not just for actors. I have seen even plumbers. Because they, there is a guy that I saw on Twitter who was drunk and was saying dumb things while drunk. Can you imagine that? Like a person that is under the influence of alcohol said offensive things. And now people on Twitter are trying to find out who he is. Apparently he's like some working class twat and they want to get him fired. Because that's what it is. Like, the company owns you nowadays, even when you're not on the premise, even when you're not in the job, when you're in your free time, that is still an issue. And I don't know, like, I mean, this level of owning people needs to stop. Like, it's not okay. It's legal, but it should be immoral. Companies should not be able to own the opinions of people when they're on their free time. But anyway, the controversy right now seems to be that Gina was planning this. That she tried to get herself fired in order to become a martyr. Now, if I was a left-leaning progressive person, I would tell the people who make this accusation that they're pushing a conspiracy theory. It's like, oh, so Gina conspired behind the scenes. No, you're a conspiracy theorist. Because that's what the left does, you know? When you accuse one of their activists for doing shenanigans or not being openly honest about their activism, they accuse you of pushing conspiracy theory. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, so what? Like, let's assume that she legitimately wanted to get fired and legitimately wanted to become a martyr. So what? She shouldn't have been fired for this. Disney made the fuck up by firing her for this tweet. If they would have fired her for something else, if she would have said something that everyone agreed that this is a problem, you know, maybe she started pushing the N-words or saying slurs or, you know, doing something like that, I would have said, okay, well, yeah, she wanted to be fired. This, I'm sorry, but this says more about Disney than it says about Gina. Now, some people say, well, she signed the contract. I don't know. Then the contract is the problem. Making people sign that contract is the problem, especially when in the same company, in the same show, you have people making similar comparisons. So no, I fully reject this nonsense that, oh, it's she's an evil person because she planned it. If anything, to me, it seems like a person that is fed up with this culture, that, to be honest, myself am fed up as well, and a lot of other people are fed up. And by her getting fired and landing a gig at the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, good for her. Good for her. And this should be a beacon of hope for other people who are also fed up with this culture. I'm sorry, I'm for liberty. I don't like the idea of corporations owning people like this. You know what? I'm willing to bet that if someone who works at the Daily Wire starts espousing left-leaning views in their free time, they will not get fired. If you work at the Daily Wire, look, maybe I'm wrong and I'm willing to change my mind, but I'm willing to bet that if you work for Ben Shapiro, as long as you do your job and you do it properly, you can say whatever the hell you want on social media in your free time. And of course, you know, like there's always that line, like a lot of people say, oh, well, what if you start saying slurs and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but I'm not talking about that. You know, I'm just talking about average opinions. Like someone that works at Shapiro will be like, you know what, maybe public healthcare is a good thing. Maybe I'm pro-choice, I'm not pro-life. Like, if they were to do these things, I don't think Ben Shapiro would fire them. I would be surprised if it does, to be honest. Like, legit, I would be surprised. Because normal people do not work like that. Can you imagine, like, if you were the owner of a bakery and you hire someone to bake the bread for you and he does a really good job at baking, would you then start stalking that person on social media to see what opinions he's got, like to see what he's saying in his time off? Would you be that unhinged? Because corporations are nowadays, by the way. Anyway, right, so I guess all in all, it's a good story, unless you like The Mandalorian and you like to see her on the screen. You're not going to get to see that anymore. I don't know if you can call her uncancelled, because it's going to be interesting to see what her future career is. But yeah, I mean, Steven Crowder also offered her a job, and it's a good thing. Yeah, there should be alternative. I am sick and tired of random people on Twitter getting to decide for me what I can watch and what I can't. And by the way, I started watching Married with Children recently, and I can't remember the last time I was laughing so heartedly. In comparison, I also watched the Has-Been Hotel, the first episode. Maybe I need to make a review for it. But this is what passes for comedy nowadays. And I think there were like maybe one or two scenes where like I cracked a small smile. And it's very interesting because Has Been Hotel would have been very offensive if it was aired when Married with Children came out. But I think it would still be allowed to air. Like, they would still have it, but it would be like in the middle of the night. But Married with Children would never be able to air today, regardless of the timetable, day or night. And that's kind of sad in my opinion. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section.